Hi. Okay, so don't mind the noise in the background. I don't know if you can hear it. The marching band is practicing, and they are very loud. So if you can hear it, kudos to them for being loud enough for everyone to hear them. Um, we are going to hop right back in with part two of the episode 7 review, Labor of Love for Sister Wives. But hi, if you're new here, my name's Cozy. I like to snark about Sister Wives and related reality television shows here on YouTube. I do like to remind you, my videos are for entertainment purposes only. These are not facts. They're just my opinions about public figures sharing their lives on television. So if we're cool, cool. All right. I'm pretty excited. I found my headband, and I'm hoping it hides a little bit of the lack of hair on the right side of my head. So we're going to see. At any rate, let's hop back in because we are still over at Mary's, and Cody needs a shovel, and then suddenly remembers he has shovels. Who travels with snow shovels? Out of curiosity, how many of you travel with snow shovels? Because I'm concerned, A, why is Cody traveling with shovels? And B, what is Cody digging with them? Anyway, I've just never had random shovels in my car at any point in my life. He says he has to dig the truck out, or had to dig the truck out this morning. So perhaps he just threw them in the bed of the truck instead of going back into the house. And then he's like, it has been a morning. Rebecca reaches out, grabs his necklace, and says, what's this? And listen, I agree with other creators when they say it looks like the heart of the ocean. I like to call it the heart of Coyote Pass, personally. I'm not sure what other people call it, but that one's my favorite. He says, everyone keeps asking me about it. And they point out, you've never worn necklaces. So this is like a new thing. And she's like, I just want to know what it means. But he kind of blows her off by saying, person gets a divorce. What are they going to do? They start changing. Might have helped you to start changing beforehand. He says he feels like he's moving his ex-wife out of her house. But no, I'm thinking that's going to happen in the back half of the season. But Cody's backing up the truck, and Mary's holding on to the ramp, and she keeps going, freak. I don't know why. Nathan's trying to calm her down. That's not what matters. My question is, why do the subtitles on Max consistently insist on calling Mary Christine in like every episode? Nathan says that Cody wanted to do this, and he's done it. And Mary's sarcasm here is so good. She's like, he's so amazing. I wish I was married to him. Ma'am. Nathan thanks Cody on behalf of his wife. He's like, then thank you on behalf of my wife. This furniture has made her a very happy woman. And Cody gets like all awkward and starts stumbling over his words. And then says, well, there's one happy woman in my life now. To which Mary's like, I'm happy. And Rebecca's like, thanks, Cody, for all that this takes to get the furniture. And then pulls a face at Mary like, what is this? And Mary's like, he's talking about Robin. Cody's like, yeah, it's a little self-deprecating, but he and Robin are having their own struggles now. And they're experiencing the mourning of the family very different. And I would say, based on articles I've seen, they're probably okay now to be buying that enormous, if somewhat ugly, house. I don't know what it is. Every house I've seen of theirs, I'm not impressed. I guess tastes are different. There's a flashback to the conversation on Coyote Pass from the first episode of the season, but I feel like we haven't seen this exact bit before, and Cody's like, it's kind of ironic. I feel like I sold you on this idea of the family, this big family, and now he doesn't even think he believes in it. And he says, Robin doesn't seem happy, but that's not an indicator of their relationship. He thinks it's just about the big picture. Cody's like, so what do we have going on? And Mary starts to answer that question, and he interrupts her and goes, can I have a glass of water? Now, his tone does actually sound to me a touch confrontational. And she's like, you could just say please. Just kidding. And he starts giggling as she's handing him the water. And she's like, why is this funny? But he doesn't ever articulate why it's funny. And she's like, you asked, I delivered. And I still don't understand why giving him water is funny. I don't know if he's just awkward and can't figure it out, but on the couch he says, Mary seems lighter, and I judged around 185 pounds or so lighter. Just a number. So the pressure's off her, and by all indications, she is likely to start feeling better. We get this second instance of I'm glad one woman's happy. Mary thinks he's just projecting, because the pressure's off of him now. Let's be real, she says, Cody doesn't know her. And that's true. He has no idea who Mary is, as much as he has no idea who she was when he married her. He hasn't bothered to get to know her in the last decade either. I could pretty much tell you anything you wanted to know about my husband. His favorite color is red. He's got a very kind heart and soul, and he puts his all into everything, even if it's detrimental to himself. He is gonna do whatever it was that he agreed to do. He makes this very particular face when he's like trying to fib because he thinks it's funny, and it gives the joke away every single time. And when he's disappointed and tries to fake it, I see right through him. He loves anime and magic cards and board games and loud music, and he is a semi-secret cuddler. But Cody probably couldn't tell you what Mary's favorite color is, or how she likes her coffee, or if she prefers a sunset to a sunrise, because he just doesn't know her. Rebecca tells Rebecca tells Cody that they were having a conversation earlier about how to split loyalties, like who's going to go with who. And she's obviously joking, but Cody's like, listen, you don't have to do that. And Rebecca's like, no. We decided you can have Nathan. He can stay with you. I'll go with Mary. And he laughs and he's like, you know what? That is a great idea. So when Nathan's told he has to choose, he's like, I'll take the blonde with long hair. Okay. Cody sighs and he's like, well, at least everybody has this good sense of humor about it. And Mary's like, it's just final. That's all this is. It's just final after so many years. And Cody's like, yeah, it's sad to me. And Mary's like, why is it sad to you? And if you haven't sat and watched them go back and forth, that probably sounds a little confrontational. But the reality is, in none of the previous episodes have we seen Cody seem sad with Mary. So when he says, well, it's just the end of an era, whether it works or doesn't, it's just sad when it doesn't work. Huh? Whether it works or not, got it. It's still sad when it doesn't work. Okay, I'll figure that one out. He does admit that for a couple years, it's been all bad days. Every day has been bad days. And he's like, but we're going to grow up now and realize divorce happens and put on a smiley face. And I don't like that. Please don't do that again. Mary says she thinks that the realization that she went through the church and got the release, it hit Cody differently than he expected. And it certainly was a different reaction than even she expected from him. And she's like, I think he was just shocked. She kind of recalls him asking, why was this so fast? And ever the contrarian, Cody says, maybe. He sort of understands. He sort of gets it. And maybe he was surprised. I think, honestly, he was surprised. I think he really, truly felt like Mary was going to hang on forever. And whether he still believes in the idea that marriage is eternal and that you need 3 wives to get to wherever you're going, I think is kind of secondary to whether or not Robin believes that, because if Robin is still holding on to that so tightly and pushing him in that direction, well, he needs to ensure that even if he's wrong, if she's right, she still gets what she signed up for. Rebecca tries to give this outside perspective that she doesn't know. I don't know where you and Janelle are. I've heard you're separated. And Cody blames Janelle and's like, she's just not interested in a relationship. Plumb not interested. It's not exactly accurate, but all right. She points out, with Christine and Janelle, it does feel more like they left. Which prompts so what do you mean in this situation? He knows exactly what she means. And she even says, posing as Cody, she says, you're saying this is my own darn fault? Yeah, I am saying that. Because Cody said he didn't want to be married to Mary anymore. So she's saying exactly what you think she's saying. Yes, she thinks you abandoned her sister and Mary finally got fed up and stopped waiting for you. That's my opinion on what Rebecca's subtext is saying. We cut to Mary, who is watching her sister repeat the things that Mary has tried to say to Cody for 2 seasons, and Cody's trying to salvage it by saying, listen, I know, but you just can't keep going down that road and nothing's going to change. And right, nothing is going to change because you're approaching things with a particular attitude. I am not saying he needs to love Mary in any specific way. I'm saying he just needs to treat her with levels of dignity that human beings should be afforded. Because if he is as crazy for Robin as he now admits he is, I can see how the other wives would be a detriment to Matt. I don't want to leave my husband to head off with anybody else. Not for one night, not for any amount of time. But even though these are his wives, it probably does deep down feel a little bit like he's cheating on the one he views as his capital W wife. But they at least deserved to know that and be treated with a level of kindness and dignity. And sure, we probably would have gotten the family breakup when Robin got the legal marriage, more than likely, but it would have saved a decade of heartache for everyone else. He claims he's not blaming, it's just not a road for them any longer. He admits to being guilty of marrying people he wasn't in love with, and Janelle's like, I think he has amnesia when it comes to the past, because you just don't fake this for 20 years. She knows what happened, and he's allowed to say whatever he likes. And Mary's like, this is his current theme, that he never loved me, he never loved Janelle, he never loved Christine. And it's getting to the point of annoying. Just man up and be honest. I'm with her. It is getting to the point of annoying. And whether it is true now to look back, hindsight is 2020, and say, oh, I did not love them the way I should have loved them, that's fine. But to just discount 20 plus years of everyone's lives is a little silly. Mary says she knows the effort that she put in, and that she would be willing to still put it in. But it isn't comfortable for Cody. It's not right for him. It's not fair to either of them. And Cody is likely prompted by producers in the talking head to share his thoughts on eternal marriage, because I don't know if this would have come up organically. He isn't sure what to think about it. And he knows, don't get divorced. And he says, Jesus said don't get divorced. And for context, I'm going to include Matthew 19, 8 through 9, because not everybody knows what was said. So Jesus replied, Moses permitted you to divorce your wives because your hearts were hard. But it was not this way from the beginning. I tell you that anyone who divorces his wife, except for marital unfaithfulness, and marries another woman, commits adultery. So that's from the NIV version. But the Bible Project interprets the biblical stance on divorce, taking in not just Jesus' words, but the words of the Old Testament, thusly. I'm going to quote them directly. The Pharisees appeal to Moses' instruction about divorce. But Jesus reminds them Moses was given a concession for people's hard-heartedness. It was never God's will for married couples to divorce, and it isn't now. But in response to circumstances brought about by human sin, his will allows for divorce. This is seen in cases that include, but are not limited to, neglect, abuse, and unfaithfulness. So that, end quote. Neglect, abuse, and unfaithfulness. And I think that based on the show, neglect could be argued, certainly in Mary's case, but the example that we're given in Exodus 21 is a man taking a second wife, and his first wife was a slave woman who had been taken as a wife, and he began mistreating her by limiting her food, clothing, and by denying her certain intimacies. I'm going to link the article for those who are interested in the rest of what it says, but it is interesting to point out that one of the examples we get is polygamy. Now, is it a great example? Absolutely not. No example of polygamy is a great example. Come on. Cody goes on to say it offends him to think he would be stuck with these women. It offends me to think that God would cause me or them to suffer. He continues saying, let's hang on that, and stop making people stay in these terrible relationships. Well, Cody, perhaps it offends me how flippantly you treat marriage covenants. I'm not going to speak for God, but, maybe it offends him too. I don't know. He brings up Sonny and Cher again, and I know that their divorce was less than pleasant. I was not alive at the time that it happened, but I do know, from study. I do think it is still, to me, a little odd that it would rock Cody's world quite that hard. I mean, he was 5 or 6, and he does go on to explain that this was the first time that he saw divorce was, real. But husband was so annoyed hearing about Sonny and Cher, he is just telling the screen, this is enough, please stop, enough. And he says divorce wasn't a part of the story he was writing about himself. You're the author of your own story, and it has taken a turn. Well, that is what happens. He goes on to say, we've crashed the ship. We've survived, we've made it to shore, but we've crashed the ship. And it's this realization, he says. And he does this fake cry that even my 5-year-old didn't fall for. And I'm sorry. That does make me terribly sad. It just comes across so disingenuous to me. And maybe I am being unfair. And I've heard it 3 times from him saying it, and not a single one really made me believe that he was actually sad. So we're going to hop on over with Christine and David, where they're at the venue that they ultimately pick, the Red Cliffs Lodge. And it's a beautiful place. It's gorgeous. They remind us that Moab is the place. And Christine isn't worried about the venue. She's just worried about her dress. I don't blame her. We know all about her dress. So he wants to know, so then why can't we just go to Vegas? And she's like, I don't want a Vegas wedding. So obviously it's at least a little important to her about the venue. I wanted to do a courthouse marriage, and husband insisted that we had to do a wedding. I did not win that battle. They meet Shelley, who's going to give them a tour of the lodge, and this is the first that we hear that they're looking for fall dates on the show. David says that he was more in on the plan than she was, because one day he was just like, we need to go look at rings. And Christine was like, I was more aggressive about things at first, and then one day it was rings, wedding venues, and she was like, okay. And Shelley shows them the Colorado room, which we saw in the wedding episodes. It is, I believe, if I am looking at it correctly, that's the room that Christine was just sitting in to have a quiet moment to herself. And she mentions that they have fit 190 people in there with those rectangle tables. Christine rambles a little bit about McKelty's wedding invites for 450 people, and that McKelty thinks Christine should anticipate 700. But they're predicting around 350. And Shelley laughs and says, 700 is a lot of people. But Christine starts sharing that they have big families. Like, she's got 6 kids, but there are 18 kids altogether in her family. And David has 8 kids. So oftentimes I'm guilty of saying, well, between the two of them, they have what? 21 kids, right? I think so. But Christine very much is counting Robin's kids here. So that would make it 26. And she says, when you're in David's life, you're in his family. So if you limit it to 300 people, well, each person can only invite 150 people. And David tells us that Christine deserves the big wedding that she never had. And he really wants to give that to her, even if it would be cheaper to go to Vegas. So they show us the venue from Christine's eventual perspective. Up at the top of the hill, and we hard cut to flashbacks and this Cody voiceover, and he reminds us his wedding day to Christine was sad. He struggled to get time off work for it. He already had 2 wives, one was pregnant, and he recalls this 1,000-yard stare he had and the bride that he was marrying out of some form of obligation. And he realizes now that wasn't fair to Christine. It wasn't really fair to him either, but I like that he is recognizing other people's feelings. Truly tells the couple she's wearing sneakers to their wedding. And Christine's like, wear whatever you want. Fine, wear sneakers. And Shelley's like, that's probably advisable in the grass because heels might sink into it. Christine just wants everybody to be comfortable. And Truly takes off down the hill to run in the grass. And Shelley takes them down the hill, headed toward the stage where they got married. And Christine's asking questions. And as she's doing that, Truly comes up from behind and just Red Rovers her way on between her, Christine and David. And it almost looks like Christine's about to take a tumble for a second. And then when she grabs David's hand again, she says, ha ha, sucker. And I was laughing. I was like, okay. So we get Christine and David on the, not couch, chairs, I guess, whatever. Christine and David say that Max and Isabel and Truly, they constantly harass them and look away when they kiss, and that won't stop them. And let me tell you, I'm a grown adult, and I look away too. I do that for everything. Movies, television shows. I'm not a rom-com romance novel kind of gal, because I get awkward about other people's PDA. And so David says Truly tries to break them up all the time, and Christine agrees and says it's just because she wants to be hugged tighter. That might be true. I think it's just a game, probably. We get this full view of the venue. Those cliffs are amazing. Oh my gosh. And Truly karate chops her mother's hand and eventually breaks through again. This is where I start to wonder, is this a game she's playing? Like, I'm less thinking that she's upset and more starting to think this might be a game, because this seems like such a kid thing to do, albeit pretty annoying for others, but entertaining for herself. And Christine does say that the affectionate nature of her relationship is something that they like but don't like. And David's like, listen, it's just awkward for them. So Christine says to him, they ever see you being affectionate with someone else? And he says, yeah, they did. We won't go down that road. I'm curious. So Shelley's like, are you looking for a Sunday? And says their first availability is October 8th. But I double checked, and they got married October 7th. Some trickery is afoot. No, I'm just being ridiculous and trying to invent conspiracy theories where none actually exist. Bookings get changed sometimes. Shelley tells them that in October it's green, it's blooming, And it was from the wedding episodes. Everything was beautiful. And David once saw a wedding at Red Cliffs and thought it was so cool to have a wedding there, but never thought it would be his own. Isabel gives us this, oh my gosh, in voiceover as we get another kiss from Christine and David. And she says it's still weird for her because all she's ever known was her mom and dad's relationship. And she's not trying to compare the two, but it's what she's familiar with. And she recalls that Cody and Christine, they never held hands in public. So this is something she's definitely getting used to. Aspen says, yeah, it feels fast, but she's moved on, kind of. Christine says she's so excited to walk down the aisle because this is her first wedding, because her first wedding was an indoor religious ceremony behind closed doors, and she says, no, I never got to do it. And she recalls when Maddie got married and everyone was there, she was thinking, wow, this would have been so great actually. So she told Cody, if we ever get married again, like a recommitment ceremony, that she wanted to walk down the aisle, and he gave her this okay, but obviously that didn't happen. So Janelle's recalling polygamous marriages, and she's like, it's just not a big deal. There's no walk down the aisle. It's just a religious ceremony, and afterwards, a small party. And if my understanding is correct, it is fairly similar for temple marriages inside the traditional LDS church. It's a religious ceremony. It's not what we think of in the Protestant church or even the Catholic church as a wedding. It's a little different, but at least traditional LDS, they do typically have large receptions after the fact. Janelle shares they had a very small get together after her wedding at Cody's mom's house, which would have been, very close to her mom's house, considering that her mom married Wynn right before that. She didn't even have a dress. And we've seen the dress. In some photos, it looks very dark green. In others, it looks black. I'm not sure what color it actually was. But we flash back to Cody giving Robin the string ring. And she tells us at the time that she was getting to know Cody, he had expressed how Christine and Janelle had not gotten what they deserved, and that marriages should be celebrated. I don't think he's wrong there. But that he had learned his lesson and he wasn't doing it again. She said that she did the big giant reception because it's what Cody wanted and what he believed and what he thought. But her wedding day and reception was not about her. It was about celebrating marriage and celebrating the family, and she made sure of that. Now, hearing Cody speak now, I'm actually inclined to believe that there is an element of truth to what she's saying, because it does seem more like this was a big event because Cody wanted to give her the big event. But by Cody logic, that still means that because he wanted to love and serve her, that it's her fault that he wanted to give her a big reception and make a big deal about her. You know what? So in all honesty, whether she's right or wrong, I guess it doesn't matter. David and Christine check out the stage, and they are getting a little too snuggly for my comfort, so I'm actually weirdly grateful when we cut to Cody talking about his thoughts about how his experience with marriage has just made him feel bitter. So it's hard for him to talk about his wedding day with Christine. He just remembers it was a sad day, and then when they broke up, it made him question life a lot. And just for you guys, I went and awoke husband from his nap to ask if our wedding day was sad, and he was like, no. So I asked, hey, do you question your life a lot? And he's like, wait, life or wife? Life. Yes, but not like that. So I was like, so do you question your wife a lot? And he's like, you ask a lot of questions, and I ask some back, so I guess so. I looked at him, I was like, I don't even know what to do with that. So I just kissed him on the forehead, tucked him back in, told him I loved him, and sent him back to his nap. But, okay, we get a lot of PDA from David and Christine, and the kids are like, ew, in the background, and I don't blame them, because once again, I get awkward, but we get a tour of the cabins at the Red Cliffs, and Christine says it wasn't important to her where they got married, but having seen this place now, this is important, and this is what she wants. So she's pointing out how lovely the view is, and it's a lodge, so their guests can actually stay there overnight. And they enter the cabin that Shelley is recommending for the bride and groom, and Christine's like, this is her first big wedding, because her kids all had great weddings. We get the clips of Maddie, McKelty, and Aspen, and she recalls that Maddie's bohemian outdoor wedding was ethereal, she says. McKelty's was a giant party, and Aspen's was magical and very romantic. And she never pictured then that she was going to leave Cody in order to get that magical wedding. Just a thought of, that would have been nice, but it's not going to happen for me. But this is going to happen, and she is going to get the big wedding. At Mary's, they've loaded the couch into the trailer, and Nathan and Cody are just trying it out. And they keep sitting down and bouncing back up, and sitting down and bouncing back up. And he says it's weird to him now that he and Mary can joke around like there's this burden that's been lifted. And there is, Cody, clearly. And he's playing around on the furniture, and he's like, why is our relationship now easier than it was 3 months ago, or even 6 years ago? Well, it's because there isn't one. It's weird, and he has no idea. Back at the cabins, there's this mini hot tub, and Christine is excited. And David's like, we are not getting in that. Like, we're not doing that right now. And she's like, but we need to stay here. I know you have the RV and everything, but... So David sticks his hand in the hot tub and says, it's cold. Well, of course it is. It's not turned on, and it's January. Cody says, in plural marriage, some people try to make it as traditional as possible. And when Robin got married, she very much so basically wanted a private elopement. And Cody was like, I am so tired of hiding plural marriage. And he wanted a celebration. I don't think it hurt that they were also getting a TV show and probably needed that for the TV show. They asked Christine about it, and she says it was a great day. And Robin was a great plural wife. She wanted everyone to have this big special day, a big family celebration. And Christine has been to so many plural weddings where they just weren't celebrations, and it looked like a really hard day for all the wives. And she says that maybe that's why the weddings are so hush hush, because it's a really hard day for the wives. Robin says her main goal was that she was not the insensitive plural wife, that they were involved in every piece of it. I mean, except for picking a dress, but what do I know about that? She wanted them to feel safe, to feel comfortable, and she justifies that all of them have said that it was a wonderful day to her face. She chuckles and she's like, they're all moving on, and I feel like the idiot that got left behind. Once again, I don't use the word idiot, but you have in some capacity been left behind. Back with Christine and David, they're checking out the bedroom of the cabin, and we get this awkward moment where David sort of bounces the mattress with his hand, and Christine gives him a look. And he's like, I'm just checking it, because it has to be comfortable. And I am so grateful when we just walk away from it. They agree. They like this venue a lot. And Christine's like, we're going to invite Janelle and her kids, and Mary's kid, but not Mary, which has to be a touch awkward. But she's not ready to be around Mary or Cody or Robin. So... nope, not going there. Christine's biggest hope is to have everyone there and be surrounded by family. And Cody and Nathan are ready to head out and deliver the furniture and plan to stop for lunch. Rebecca's hanging back with Mary, and oh, to be a fly on the wall for that day. Cody says he's been wearing his pain on his sleeve for years, and he's just tired of it. He's tired of the pain. Maybe it's a good idea to just lighten up. And he says when your heart's dark, you have to lighten up. And he's already gone through the destruction of his family, but who cares? He says, that's happened. It's been dark. That's pretty insensitive of you, and you should care. Just saying. He says you have to keep moving forward. Christine closes us out telling us that she's never felt this special before. It's incredible to feel loved and special, and it is so wonderful to plan this day with her soulmate. And it was a wonderful day. I mean, we've seen it. The episodes came out a year ago, almost, at this point. So we have seen it, and it was beautiful. She's right. It was a lovely day, and I'm really glad that she got what she was hoping for out of it, because everybody deserves to have a special, lovely day. I think that's true. I do think that maybe Cody at the end there could have rephrased things a lot better to sound a lot less insensitive to the fact that his family has fallen apart, but hey, I'm not in charge of his PR. He'll figure it out eventually. So, that's episode 7. I don't know exactly how many episodes we'll get this season. What do we normally get? Do we normally get like 16 and then some tell-alls? Or I can't remember how many we typically get, but we may be very close to the halfway point. The coming up on Sister Wives for next week did not look like a mid-season trailer. We know what the mid-season trailers look like. It looked like we're just getting Mary's birthday with the reveal finally of the carriage house, and Cody begging Janelle to come back after last week saying that he knows damn well he doesn't want to be in a relationship with Janelle. So, but maybe we'll get that mid-season trailer after the next one, and then we'll have a fairly decent idea of how many episodes we're getting. But until then, I hope everyone has a fantastic Halloween. Go get your candy, have a great time, enjoy all of the wonderful things that fall has to offer. I'm excited because now that Halloween is about to be over, we are about to get out of spooky season and into the kind of fall that I like. I'm I'm the Midwest mom with the, let's all gather here and pumpkin spice and bonfires and pumpkin pie and all that stuff. I don't want to call myself a Thanksgiving mom, but that's my fall aesthetic is Thanksgiving, and I'm so stoked for it. Where everyone around me, it's spooky season, and they're all like so psyched, and I'm so psyched for them. So, if you missed it last time, uh, just another huge thank you to everybody who views this channel. I am so unbelievably grateful for the fact that I have this YouTube channel, and that as far as I can see, I am on track to be able to have what we needed to have for our kids to have a fantastic Christmas. And I could not have done that by myself. I mean, it takes you guys watching the videos to get there. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. You guys are the best. I don't know, some of you have noticed that I turned the super thanks on the channel just because it was an option available. I didn't want to make it a big thing. But if we do want to do something fun with it as a group, we can discuss whatever we want to do, whether it's channel shout outs or asking questions and having them be prioritized, answered, or anything like that. If you guys have some ideas, leave them for me. I am so excited to make this into a space that all of us can be happy with and all of us can be really excited about being in. So tell me what you think. Give me all your ideas, whatever you want to do, because frankly, I do this not just to get all of this out of my brain, but because I like hanging out with you guys. So I am so stoked. I can't wait to see you again soon. Bye, guys.